Hello, hello, hello. It helps to listen, my friend. Even when you think the other side does not make any sense, just listen. There are those of us who think that other people are talking rubbish. Maybe they are of no consequence, even when it is foolishness or stupid. Give them an ear. When we become stubborn and we don't allow other people to express their views, we have ourselves to blame. In the days of President Kibaki, he used to say, wacha watu watoe mambo kwa roho, wafungue roho. And you know what he meant? Let people express themselves. Let them talk. But also listen. Listen to that child, listen to that spouse, even though you may think they're irrelevant. Everybody has a story to tell. You cannot have a monopoly of ideas. And even when you are in power, please listen. This week I'm a happy person for two reasons. I want to thank the leadership of the country I love, the nation we call Kenya. We were all very anxious a week ago of what would happen this past Monday. And anybody who doubts that prayers work, you better believe prayers do work. Because we voiced our concerns and we made a call of Kenya talking amongst the leadership or even between themselves. And true enough, because of God's intervention and the president allowing that to work in him, he said a very profound statement. It is not a question of who is right or wrong. Let us talk. Which means somebody could be wrong, but yet he opened that dialogue. That is the way to go, President Ruto. But he could also have said that, and the other side say, no, we are not going to listen. We're going to go and demonstrate and go on the street, come what may, even if we are going to lose life or destroy property. And the statesmanship in the Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, and his team, the Spirit of God prevailed upon them. And they said, okay, we hear some positivity. Let us listen. And they gave a moment, a chance for dialogue. It doesn't matter who persuaded them. Don't tell me it's this person who made the call or not. For me, that is irrelevant. The fact is, they averted, they avoided, or they skipped things that we'll never know. Because they listened and they said, let us give an opportunity to listen to each other. And I want to tell you this, my people of Kenya, that I love so much because I believe somebody is listening. Those of us who feel like because you have the authority, you can be arrogant and say what you want. Please, 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 please. Remember, other women had also given birth to sons and daughters. And the fact that we are in a position does not make other people irrelevant. Atua keti, mukule nyama, this is your thing until 5 years go. No, that is wrong. When we think about the Constitution and maybe what it allows, we cannot worship it. The letter is more, the spirit is more important than the letter, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm not saying we don't suspect, I'm not saying we suspect the Constitution and the law, because we need the law. But don't be so stubborn. The law says this, it does this. It has to be interpreted in context. Do you remember in the Bible, I believe it's Mark 2, verse 27, where the Jews, the leadership were actually were mad at Jesus and the disciples for them performing miracles or doing stuff on Sabbath. And for them it was a taboo. It was against the law. It's against the law, you can't do that. And then they were reminded that man was not created for Sabbath. Sabbath was created, or rather, the man was not created to come and observe Sabbath. Sabbath was created to regulate the life of people so that they could rest and have a moment of reflection. It was not intended to be a burden so that we don't just observe the law or constitution blindly. If it doesn't have that spirit of love, of compassion, and caring for each other. If the law means you are there 5 years, nobody listen, you can't talk to anybody, nobody can come around the table because you won, you're wrong. You're wrong. You may have the majority rule, but the other people have a right of say. They can be listened to. Don't despise people just because you have the power. It's not the time to revenge. It is time to say, okay, we got the majority, but let us all meet together. Please, let's have some solution. What do you think? Winning an election does not make you an enemy to the other people. And I applaud the president for saying it is not a question of who is right or wrong. Let us give space to dialogue. Hungary, that is the way. And you know what? If you have some conscience, if you have an element of godliness, you listen, you give space for dialogue to talk. And I pray the way forward that people come with an open heart, without any hidden agenda. With one acclaim, Kenya is for all of us. And no one has a monopoly of ideas, both in government and outside government. We all share common ideals. We don't have to be stubborn and make this like a weapon. We have won. We're going to square you. We're going to revenge. We're going to go back and don't do that. That is not what a Christian does. And because leadership, you've said that you are put here by God. If it is God who allowed you to be in authority, then listen to what God teaches. God is one who would embrace, who go extra mile and receive all folks and invite them to build this nation of Kenya, regardless of which way they voted. Let us remove that vengeance. Let us forget about going back and settling score. It doesn't help. Two wrongs do not make anything right. The fact that somebody was tough on you in the yesteryears, you already have the authority. Don't go back to that. That is stooping too low. That is stooping too low. You're on the top, you have the power, you have the tools, you have the tools to govern. Embrace everybody. Invite even your enemies, if there will be any enemies. We are on the right trajectory. Mr. President, don't allow anybody telling you kagumu. You are a Christian. you have that conscience, listen to that voice of God that tells you Kenya is for all of us. And knowing where God took you from, and I'm sure you have testified to the goodness of the Lord. Ati mahali umefika, kama sio Mungu, haungekuwa pale. Then let that chorus continue, even as far as relating to other people. Because the heavens are watching. The heavens are watching. Listen to the teaching of the Lord and what He would have you do. And I'm glad you listened. It is good to listen, Mr. President. Number 2, here in the diaspora, we have something to celebrate. One thing that is so historical, we are so glad because of the actualization of the promise that the government gave. Those of us who are listening from Kenya, for the first time, of course we've done this before, but in a big way, consular services have been brought to our door. I just came from Seattle, where officers from the embassy camped there for days, and then one night they had to go through the whole night till morning, serving Kenyans, giving Kenyans passports, identity cards. Kids who are born here in America who would have taken forever to ever get Kenya citizenship. Now they can apply that. It has been very easy. So the services have come to our states. For us here in Atlanta, it begins tomorrow. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Folks coming from Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, all jamming here at the Kenyan American Community Church so that they may be served. Officers coming from Nairobi, others from Washington, D.C. to come and help facilitate so that we, the citizens of Kenya who are here, can get those consular services, get our passport processed, identity cards processed. So they are saving us millions of shillings, lining up in your house looking for these papers. That is great. And I'll tell you, on this trajectory, Kenya is shining among other nations. Where did you hear of such facility? Kama ni kizuri, ni kizuri. And for all of us, as gatekeepers, we want to encourage all of us to be positive. If something is good, please put a pat on the shoulder and then encourage the government and all the agencies to continue doing the right thing. I'm glad we are able to talk. We are able to consult. And I want to urge anybody who is peace-loving, somebody of God, please pursue that which brings cohesion. Pursue that which brings unity. Pursue that which brings justice. Run away from anybody who is going to incite you against other people. Run away from anybody who is ready to do vengeance on other people. Run away from any leader who is quick to hatch things to go and undo other people. It does not help to character assassinate anybody. Let us accept those who are in authority, but also those who are in the authority. Remember, leadership is not confined to you. Even those outside are equally important, and it's important to listen to them. So have a dialogue. Talk around that table. Have some tea and relax. Just breathe in and relax. And talk. Start with a prayer. Sing if you may. Maybe sing the national anthem. Tell each other, you know what? You guys could have won. We could be on the other side. Let's have this common agenda. How can we improve the welfare of our people? Do you have any ideas that we can improve? That is not weakness. Asking for help is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's being smart. So those who are in authority, please avoid talking carelessly. Before one opens your mouth, ask yourself, is it helpful? What am I going to say? Will it bring people together? Or will it split people the more? God has given us responsibility as leaders, whether political, whether cultural, whether religious, whatever it is. And we need to be accountable, because every word we pronounce will have consequences more than we can imagine. We become careless with our words. You never know who is listening and who is going to act on that. Even some will pretend that they are following what you are doing, but they are going to cause mayhem and they're going to destroy our country. I thank God, because even Prime Minister Raila Odinga in the past has been called and he has calmed the temperature. Look for goodness in him. He is in his advanced age. There is something good if approached in a good way. The president we have worships God. He fears God. I've seen his tears on television showing the passion he has for that country. And I want to believe deep down, he means well. And I'm sure at his age you want to excel and to become a productive, accessible, and a forthright leader. I believe there is some element in President Ruto wishing well for this country. I don't think he would want to be there and become a leader who will be led in the journals as one who ruined the country. I doubt it. I doubt it. And for Prime Minister Raila, he has fought for this country for long. He's paid a big price. He too has a story he can tell. So let us embrace each other. After all, we are Kenyans. And leaders who are religious, please, 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 know your role. Be prophetic. Don't go there shouting on one mlengo wa siasa ule mwingine, because there will be a time when you'll be called to speak out. And you'll not be able to, because you've already sold your soul to one side or the other. Be embracive. Don't use a scripture to condemn and curse this side or the other. Represent the word of God in a very embracing way. Affirm all these people. They are God's people. They are leaders by own their rights. Don't you be used to demonize other people. Because guess what? When the leaders know that they can use you and dump you, you lose your taste. And next time you shout, nobody's going to listen. I'm not saying you don't pray with them. I'm not saying you create them enemies, but please know your boundaries. Here's one man who'd change his sermons to suit the king. They would always be quick to make sure that what they say would make the leader feel so good. And one day the king said, I come to church to be nourished. I come to church so that I may also worship my Maker. But every time I come to this congregation, the pastor always changes the subject. And one day, because this king also wanted to be a spiritual being and to be nourished and give the pastor the honor he deserves as a carrier of the good message, he said, Pastor, I got a gift for you and I hope you'll appreciate it. And the pastor was so excited. Maybe it was money, maybe it was a piece of land and all that. But it was a plague. The king bought a plague with these inscriptions: that I may see Jesus. Did you hear that? That I may see Jesus. And there was a request from the king. Pastor, would you please put this plague in front of your pulpit so that when you preach, you'll make people see Jesus. And by implication, not me, not yourself. Be true to the word. I come that I be nourished. If I come and then you change and all the things is places, you are doing good, you are perfect, you are anointed, you are perfect, nobody like you, I need to be challenged. Because there's something that is in me that need that message from God on high. See, when you compromise, when you get away from your calling being prophetic, my friend, you are doing more harm to the person you are trying to please for that envelope. And we are the people who are also making these folks fail because we fail to take our position. And for you leaders, please, for heaven's sake, respect the house of God. Respect the altar. That is not where you go and pour your hatred among other people. Look for another day. There are 7 days in a week. And I believe you can call a meeting somewhere and vent. But let the house of God be a house of prayer and worship whose object is God. We don't need to rearrange the sermon. I hear there are politicians who would even go and demand to know who is preaching. There are those who really want to know, bring the sermon so that we see. Let me see the order of the service. Says who? Men and women of God, we have a duty to be answerable to God and God himself. That is our prime calling. If a leader comes to the service, let them come and be nourished. Don't you change that program. I'm not saying you don't embrace them. It doesn't mean you don't acknowledge because they are God appointed. But for heaven's sake, let the object of worship not shift. That's what the king was saying. That I may see Jesus. Listen to the voice of God. Listen to your call. Once again, heckle to the government. Good job done. Thank you for allowing that openness conversation. Because when people talk, they come up with a solution. And once again, for us in diaspora, heckle nyingi sana because of what's going on. And I want to encourage those who will be called to go and register. Please take advantage of those consular services. This is unprecedented. And you know why it's happening? Because somebody listened. It pays to listen. God bless you. God bless Kenya. God bless all those people who associate themselves with a great nation we call Kenya. God bless you all.